Welcome to the Church Solutions Podcast, brought to you by JSL Solutions. The Church Solutions Podcast is designed to help equip you and your church in the use of technology and other tools and services. And now, here are your hosts, Steve Lacy and Phil Thompson.
Well, hello and welcome everyone to the Church Solutions Podcast.
Hi, my name is Steve Lacy.
And my name is Phil Thompson. We are here today to provide hopefully some encouragement, some information, and our purpose of our company, JSL Solutions, is to really enable you as a as a leader, as a volunteer, especially when it comes to tech-related things, hopefully help your church and your ministry prosper, right?
You know it.
Yeah. So we're a company that provides streaming video through the company called StreamingChurch.tv. We also have mobile apps.
ChurchAppLive.com.
Right. And then we have myflock.com, which is website templates and church management. And Steve and I have been in ministry for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Too long to count. Decades.
Yeah. And soon we're going to have another product.
We are.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, we are. We need to talk about that sometime. We'll talk about that. We'll leave people in suspense.
Yes.
New product is coming soon.
For ministries.
Exactly. Or it could be for anything, but yeah.
Could be.
Okay, so today, what are we going to talk about today, Steve?
So today we're going to talk about the 5 essential qualities of a great church tech.
5 essential qualities of a great church tech. So these are some things we've got here that hopefully will help you or your team. Maybe you're not the church tech guy, but maybe some of this stuff could encourage your tech people.
Yeah.
And
who are the tech people? What is this when we say tech guys?
So when I think of tech people, I'm talking about the people that actually operate the equipment, the sound, the video, different technical equipment used for the presentation of your church services.
That makes sense. So the sound guy is a very obvious one.
Sound guy.
Somebody running slides.
Yeah, pro presenter.
Pro presenter or PowerPoint or whatever.
Media shout.
Yeah, or the streaming guy that's
doing
video switching. Yeah.
Yeah, doing video switching, streaming. Those are the things that primarily come to my mind when I'm thinking of. I mean, lights can also be a part of that.
Yeah, that's
lighting. True. And I don't know. I mean, in my church, we kind of make the tech people also in charge of the environment of the room. So the air conditioning, we have 3 air conditioning units, and air conditioning is important, at least in my opinion. That's another subject, but the environment of the room is very important, I think, for putting on a good presentation. But that's another subject. So when we talk about the tech person here, that tech person is providing technical services, it's operation of the equipment.
That's the first point, right?
That's the first point. Provide technical services.
Is to provide technical services.
Yeah, that's really a no-brainer. We're talking about, turning the system on and off, operating it for your events, for your services. That can also involve, breaking down the equipment, setting things up, tearing things down.
Right. Powering things off, making sure they're stable. You don't leave an amp on for a week or something like that.
Right, which has happened at my facility. But and if you're mobile, it's really important to make sure you take care of the equipment well if you're mobile. I was part of couple mobile churches, so were you.
So was I for a very long time.
Yeah, so those things are important. So providing technical service. So that's a no-brainer. That's easy, all right? Let's talk about the second point.
So number 2, manage the equipment.
So this is going to be involving maybe repairs, organizing thing, which is, I know that's a real important thing for you, organizing the equipment. Tell us a little bit about how you organize our equipment.
I guess, you'd probably call me a cable Nazi or something. But I don't know. I like, especially with cables, I like to have cable. I hate to reach into a box and have 18 different tangled cables come out of the thing.
Which is what you get when I come around.
Yeah, so I like wrapping cables up and securing cables and having a nice, orderly, organized setup. So that, even when it's in use, you can kind of see that, this is the input number 1 because I can. It's nicely laid out and organized so that I can tell where things are going and what's what, and things are labeled. So that's and we've been through. I know that Some time gets by, and that's actually getting into the next point. But yeah, that's what I mean by managing your equipment.
Yeah. Well, and here's the positive side to this, which, I mean, it's all positive, but here's one of the benefits, I guess, to managing your equipment. Especially, it will help the wear and tear of the equipment. So when you talk about wrapping up microphone cords, for instance, or anything that's a cord, you've got these little Velcro strips.
Yes.
That you've got on, and you wrap up everything, which is good. I mean, it's really good. You can get things out. To me, one of the most benefits of being organized when it comes to managing the equipment and everything is when something goes wrong, you're not frantically digging through piles and piles of crap, excuse my French, to try to get
to the issue, yeah. Got this tangled mess of stuff going on, and I've got a cable problem, but I don't know which one of these 40 cables it is.
Which zigzags around here and around somebody's chair and microphone. Yeah. So you've got that issue. And then also, if you need to replace a cable or replace something, if you've got things well organized.
And labeled on both ends of the connections are really important.
And then obviously maintaining equipment is good too, because, I've seen this happen at my church recently. There's something wrong with either a mic or a mic cable. We think it's a mic cable. And somehow or another, they finally figure out, it's not working. So they replace the cable, right? And I'm talking about on the platform, on the stage. And then somehow or another, that cable mysteriously finds its way back to its original place, and it's hooked up to a microphone. And then, 3 or 4 weeks later, we're fighting the same problem. I don't know how that happens, but it like we disconnect it, and instead of either putting it somewhere where this needs fixed or throwing it away, I don't know, it somehow or another slithers back at night and reconnects itself to a microphone and to a jack. It seems to an input. I don't know, or an output. I don't know how that works. But organization, managing equipment is really it's important.
Yeah, it's another pet peeve of mine. Yeah. My wife's got a bunch of pens in a thing, and if I pull out a pen and it doesn't work, it goes in the trash.
Yeah, that's what I do now too. Yeah.
So I hate to, we'll put that one back and go try another one. Like, no, just
throw
these things away.
Here's something that I hadn't thought of, but it's really important probably, would be also manuals. So if you've got different equipment around, there should probably be some organization to, the different pieces of equipment you have on the stage or in the sound booth. You probably ought to have a little filing cabinet where you have your manuals.
Yeah. And it's probably not, you could, even the most seasoned tech, I think, can learn a few things if they just maybe take one of those manuals home and read it during the week, and just be like, I had no idea that I could do it this way.
Right.
So I think there's a lot to be learned by just going through the manual
and organizing them, so when you do need to find it, you'll know where it's at. And the other issue too is, I understand I'm sure somebody's listening right now going, well, that's why we have the internet. We will just look it up. Okay, that's good, but you still might want to have some kind of a system where you know what the part number is, or the model number, or exactly what it is. So when you are looking it up, you can type in the correct info,
right,
and then you'll be able to find the right piece of equipment online, so you can look at the manual online.
And I think I mentioned this already, but labeling both ends of cables, even power cables, because sometimes they'll go, let's pull this DVD recorder and go move it over here, and you pull the power cord, and you're like, I just pulled the power to the computer in the middle of a service, and so you want to make sure that.
That was my next question. When you mean label, so you're talking literally, AC power, or
you would say DVR power, and you plug it in typically in a power strip. So you got 6 things on this power strip, and you got to move that DVD player somewhere else.
Yeah,
you're like, which one of these 6 things is the power to that? So it'd be nice to be able to look at that connection and say, here's the DVD player, and I can pull it and not pull the power to the guy running sound.
That's a good point. Yeah, let me make a note of that.
You can do that at home as well, too.
Yeah, really. I should.
I've done it behind our stereo TV thing. I'm like, I got those 6 connections, and I'm like,
I have, my little office has the same.
Otherwise, you got to chase the wires all from their source to their end.
Yep. Wow. Okay. So as we talk about these essentials, 5 essential qualities of a great church tech, obviously the first one is providing the tech services. The second one, managing the equipment. And then the third point is keep your space under control. What do we mean by keep your space under control?
Well, I think under control, for one, I know that, we've actually been together here visiting some other churches out of town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were very protective of who was in the AV tech booth, which is a good thing. So kind of controlling your workspace and making sure that you don't have too many people crowding around that aren't playing a particular role.
Yep.
Is one way to do that. Keeping distractions to a minimum so that you're not off, checking your Facebook or something like that. So that's kind of how I would interpret keeping your workspace under control.
I was in broadcasting, as you know, for many years, and we had well, literally, we started an FM station. We had an AM going already, and so we didn't have any space to put the FM equipment station in. So we literally had a closet. We actually put our first FM radio station we put inside a little closet, and I'm telling you, that thing was tight. And I used to always have to chase people out of there because you could get 2 people in there, but it was tight, and 3 people is really tight. And so, when you talk about eliminating distractions, I think a lot about, as a manager of a radio station, how I used to always get on my disc jockeys and announcers about keep the distractions to a minimal. And that was before we had smartphones and mobile apps and stuff where people are always watching their Facebook page now and chatting,
and that goes into keeping trash and other things out of your workspace.
Well, I've seen that a lot over the years. I've seen that. I've gone back to sound booths and just stuff piled up.
Right.
Sometimes for weeks and weeks.
Broken mic
cables. And just, all sorts of things are back there. And I know it's hard, especially if you happen to have 2 or 3 volunteers, then it's really rough. If you have multiple volunteers that take turns running sound or running different things, that is hard because you have 2 or 3 different people and, they bring their stuff and leave it. And then you're like, the next guy is going, well, should I throw this out or keep it? And it's a challenge, but keep your workspace under control. That's a great quality of a great church tech person.
Right. So we're 5 essentials. First was providing technical services, managing equipment was 2, and number 3 was keeping your workspace under control.
Yeah.
Are you ready for number 4?
Fourth one. So these next 2 points are really, to me, very important points. And the first one, number 4, the first one I'm going to emphasize is number 4, communicate with your pastor and your worship leader. Communicate. What was that movie? What we have here is a failure to communicate. That famous line from that movie. I forget which one it was. But to me, that's a big issue today in churches. There's just a very little communication going on. Mm-hmm. And, the pastor may work really hard for his or her presentation. Same way with your worship leader. They're putting things together, trying to put a great presentation together. But if they don't communicate their needs to the tech people, they're falling short. And so here's my point, and that is it takes 2 to tango. So you might be sitting and going, if you're the tech person, you might be saying, well, hey, it's not my problem. They don't talk to me.
Right.
Well, you've got to take the initiative.
Right. So there's actually a very good practice that occurs. I'm not responsible for it, but at my church, in that first there's an order of the service, and it's going to vary every week. And so planned out to the minute is exactly what's going to happen when, and who's going to play what song, and who's the lead, and who's going to, who's backup singer, and who's leading this other song. So we go through, and we have set up a pre-meeting. I think probably most of the churches do.
Meeting?
Pre-service meeting,
okay,
where we get the band, get the pastors that are speaking, the people that are doing announcements, and all the AV people together, and then we review. This is after we've gone through sound checks and made sure everything is working and life is good. But we just talk through the order of the service. Say, well, we're going to start up with this. Mike's going to come up and do these announcements, and the AV guy goes, "You going to pick up the backup mic, or are you going to use your lapel?" And I'll use my lapel. And so all of these, you kind of clear that you communicate exactly what's going to happen at every point in the service, and so that everyone understands. And as you get to each step in the service, you can ask questions. And should I have the words up for the worship song when we're going through communion, or that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think that's excellent. And of course, I was part of your church for years, and I think that's a great thing. Now, there may be some people listening; they don't do that, they don't have that. So we would first of all suggest that maybe at what you're talking about, Steve, at your church, you guys have a lot going on. You have videos going and lots of different things going on. There may be some people listening; they don't maybe have that much going on, but there's still things they need to know.
Right.
So if you're not, I would really recommend that you do some kind of an order of service pre-meeting. I mean, I do that at my little church too. If you can't do that for some reason, or it's just not working, you still need to take the initiative to find out what's going on.
Right.
And so it's easy to say, well, it's their issue if they really have something they can tell me. But I think part of the job as a tech person or tech people is hopefully you have the idea and you have this thing in your heart that you're trying to make the experience great for everybody,
right?
Including your pastor, including your music team, including visitors.
And what's unique to this position is the better job you do, the more invisible you are.
Exactly.
So it's only when you make a mistake that everyone turns around and goes, "Why don't you turn on his mic?"
Right. Or feedback, or something's going on.
Yes.
There's an awkward silence because some slide was supposed to go up and didn't go up, or some video was supposed to play and didn't play.
Right. So the better job you do, the more invisible you become.
Yeah.
So
it really is a behind-the-scenes team effort. And so, I'm sure you've probably heard a lot about it. It's a team effort. It's a team effort. And it is a team effort. But, most of the time the tech people don't get a lot of credit. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry you don't. But that's really the way life is when you're a tech person, when you're a behind-the-scenes person. You're not going to get a lot of credit. Now, if you're a leader here listening to this, if you're a pastor, I'd encourage you to give your tech people some credit as much as possible. Give them some love. Yeah. Do whatever you can to encourage them. But the reality is, you're a team player if you're a tech person, and your job is to really be a part of the vision of the church. And if you don't like that, then maybe you're in the wrong ministry. Maybe if I can be so blunt about that, because it's not about you. And it's really not. It shouldn't be about anybody. It should be about God and encouraging people. But the bottom line is it's part of it's part of being a part of the church.
Right.
So which kind of goes into number 5, I guess, doesn't it?
So that number 4, communicating with your pastor and worship leader. Number 5 is protect your attitude.
Yeah, it's this segues perfectly in what we're talking about, because it's really an attitude issue. The bottom line is an attitude issue. And there's something about, and I've been involved with tech people, like I said, I was involved in radio and I worked with a lot of engineers.
And you can recognize a radio engineer just by the way they talk and what attitude they have, right?
Well, there are, I'll tell you what, my first probably 10 years of radio, the engineers I had, they were pretty cocky. They were honestly pretty arrogant people. And I've had some good engineers. I was in radio for about 20 years, so I had some really good ones that didn't have an attitude. So I don't want to paint the picture that everybody that's a tech person has an attitude. But let me say this. I think a lot of times if you're in tech, whatever it might be, radio, church tech, whatever, computer tech, sometimes it's easy to kind of begin to get an attitude of, these people, I've told them this over and over again. Why don't they get it? Because you're living in an environment, but they're not in that environment. And so you may eat, sleep, and drink tech, whatever it might be, but those people outside of that environment aren't.
Right.
So it's foreign to them in a lot of ways.
Right.
So it's easy to have this attitude is, what's wrong with these people?
Are they stupid? Or
Yeah.
yes,
It's easy
you
to fall into that.
Yeah, because they develop an arrogance.
Yeah.
We've had.
Well, I've known a guy. I hope he's not listening, but I've known him for 20 some years, and I bumped heads with him many years ago, because I was the new kid on the block and I was leading the music team, and I bumped heads with him because he was the expert, so-called expert, But I've seen that same attitude over the years with the same guy. He's a great guy. I mean, he's a wonderful guy, but when he gets behind that, when he puts his tech hat on, he gets a little cocky. And because he's even been doing it even longer now, he still feels like he knows what's right and you don't.
Right. Yeah. It's probably.
You know who I'm talking about,
yeah,
right?
It's very common. And I think one of the virtues that you want to try to exercise is patience.
Yeah. If you're a tech person, yes.
Yeah, if you're the tech person, you want to exercise your patience. Yeah. We've had, even within our company, some of the tech people that we've dealt with are just...
Yeah, they remind me of some of the old radio engineers I used to work with.
Yeah, where they just kept saying...
Yeah, push the green button.
Push the
green button. Yeah. I've been doing this for a couple of years. I know how to push the green button. It's not working. But yeah, so, and again, it's the way it is. But I think, what was I getting at here? I think, now you're really a good example of this, because you're a tech guy. I mean, you were in engineering. You were in the aerospace industry. You do tech stuff all the time here, and you're very patient with me because I'm not a tech guy per se. I mean, some people think I am, and I guess I have become more technical over the years. But you're very patient. You're not very patient when you're driving down the road. I'll say that much. Steve's got this Mustang that he's souped up, and every chance he gets to punch it, he does. But other than that, you're really very patient with people.
You sound like my wife.
Well, I don't know what she sounds like when it comes to that, but I can imagine. So, it does. It's protecting your attitude is what it is. So it's easy to complain. It's easy to gossip. It's easy to talk trash about, the worship leaders just, doing his own thing up there. It's easy to criticize your leadership team. It's easy to criticize your pastor. Those are easy things to do. I used to say this all the time. You may think you have the spiritual gift of criticism, but that's not right. You don't have a spiritual gift of criticism. You may have the gift of criticism, but it's not spiritual. Right. And so it's easy to fall into it. I have fallen into it at times.
Yeah, it takes years. I mean, typically the younger guys or the newer guys won't have that attitude. It's just after you're the seasoned veteran, you kind of start to get that attitude going. Well,
and you get busy and you have lots of things going on. And I mean, here's the deal. A lot of times my job at my church is to get there early and make sure everything's set up. I oversee the tech team. I oversee everything as an executive pastor, which, I put about 10 hours a week in because it's a part-time deal. So I'll come in a lot of times early and the sound guy, for whatever reason, isn't there right away. And the Annie and the team's trying to do music, and they're like, can you turn this up? Can you turn me down? Can you turn him up? Why am I getting this buzz in my ear? And I've got other things to do. And I'm like, can't you just, here, it's easy to fall into that attitude is what I'm getting at. So you just have to really protect your attitude. And, we all have problems from day to day. But excellent service does everything possible to make sure the same problems don't happen twice. And so try to stay on top of things, try to fix things as a church tech guy. And, if you need help in areas, you really need to communicate it to your leadership. Because some of you are feeling overwhelmed right now. I understand that. And that may or may not change. But at least try to share the burden with some people. And if you approach them in a humble manner, maybe you can get some relief. I don't know. So anyhow.
Yeah. So I guess another thing, you should just recognize that you're a conduit to exercise the vision of the pastor or the worship team. And it kind of goes back to, if you're doing a great job as a conduit, nobody even knows you're there. Right. But as soon as you start falling apart, then but you're not the reason people are coming to church on Sunday. Right. You're just a conduit to implement the vision.
And it's very important, but again, you don't get a lot of credit, but it's very important. Let me just say one thing and we'll wrap up here. I would encourage you, if you're having issues, try to talk about those issues with, like, especially personnel issues. Try to talk with those people after the services are all over with, because one of the things that will really create just a bad taste in people's mouths is if you're having this tension between either your worship leader, if you're a sound tech guy or whatever you're doing as in the tech department, if there's tension between the pastor and the tech people, or tension between the music people and the tech people, it will hinder them. They might be big enough to get over it and put on a good presentation, so to speak, but it can certainly hinder things.
Plus, as soon as you go live, the stress level goes up for everybody.
It does for everybody.
Service is underway, so you don't want to be dealing with.
But if you're bickering with somebody, and you're trying your best to worship, and you're trying to put on honestly a good experience for people, other people in the congregation can pick up some of that stuff. If you've got issues, there are some people that can pick that up. And it's like, again, it just creates a sour taste for everybody. So try to work on those personnel issues. Try to work on those, after the services are long done, or sometime during the week or something. I don't know. Anyhow, we're out of time. So,
all right.
Okay. So if you got questions or you want to add something to this list of great qualities of a church tech person, love to hear from you. If you disagree with some of the stuff we're talking about, hey, we'd still love to hear from you. We try to protect our attitudes. So send us an email, support@StreamingChurch.tv. That's one of our emails, support@StreamingChurch.tv. People can find us on iTunes. They can just go to iTunes, look for Church Solutions Podcast, subscribe to our podcast. It's usually every week, and you can rate us and all that good stuff. Find us on YouTube. Look for StreamingChurch.tv on YouTube. Look for NewMediaMinistries.tv, another little platform we're on. And, we got lots of them. And let us hear from you. We'd love to hear.
Sounds great.
We're done. So Steve and I will be back next week. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us. We sure appreciate you. And we hope that you have a great week. I'm Phil Thompson. He's Steve Lacy. Take care. We'll talk to you next time.